The scent of rain-soaked earth filled the air as Emma stood frozen on the sidewalk, watching him walk away. 5 years together, gone in an instant. She wanted to call out, to run after him, but her voice caught in her throat, and her feet remained rooted to the ground. The rain began to fall harder, mingling with her tears, as if the sky itself understood her grief. She had never felt more alone, more lost, than in this moment when love slipped through her fingers like sand. If you're feeling the weight of Emma's heartbreak already, this journey through love, loss, and rediscovery is one you won't want to miss. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that touch the heart and speak to the soul. Emma Collins had always been a planner. Her apartment walls were adorned with color-coded calendars, her desk cluttered with to-do lists, and her phone filled with reminder apps. At 32, she had achieved everything she had set out to do: a successful career as an architect at a prestigious firm in Boston, a beautiful apartment overlooking the Charles River, and a relationship with Michael that had been steady and comfortable for 5 years. They had a routine, a system, a life that made sense. Until it didn't. "I can't do this anymore, Em," Michael had said earlier that evening, his voice steady but his eyes avoiding hers. "We've become roommates, not lovers. When was the last time we had a conversation that wasn't about grocery lists or work schedules?" Emma had stared at him, dumbfounded. Sure, things had become predictable, but wasn't that what happened in long-term relationships? The passion cooled, and what remained was companionship, stability, a shared life. Wasn't that enough? "I've been offered a position in Seattle," Michael continued when Emma didn't respond. "I've decided to take it. I think we both need a fresh start." The rain had begun to fall as they left the restaurant where their relationship had ended over uneaten desserts. Emma had insisted on walking home alone, needing space to process what had happened. Now, as she watched Michael's silhouette disappear around the corner, she realized she hadn't fought for them. She hadn't begged him to stay or promised things would change. Perhaps because deep down, she knew he was right. The following weeks passed in a blur. Emma threw herself into work, taking on additional projects, staying late at the office, anything to avoid going home to an apartment that felt too empty, too quiet. Her colleagues noticed the change in her but attributed it to her legendary work ethic. Only her best friend, Zoe, knew the truth. "You can't avoid feeling forever, Emma," Zoe said over lunch one day, 6 weeks after the breakup. "You haven't even cried properly." "I'm fine," Emma replied automatically, her standard response these days. "Just busy." Zoe reached across the table and took Emma's hand. "Look, I know you. You're not fine. You're hiding. And while burying yourself in work might help you get through the day, it won't help you move forward. You're lost, Em." Emma pulled her hand away, irritated by Zoe's accuracy. "I'm not lost. I know exactly where I am and what I'm doing." "Do you?" Zoe challenged. "Then tell me, where are you going? What do you want? And don't say a promotion or a raise. I'm talking about life, Emma. What do you want from life?" The question lingered in Emma's mind long after lunch. What did she want? For years, her wants had been tied to her 5-year plans, career goals, financial targets, relationship milestones. But now, with Michael gone and her carefully plotted future derailed, she felt unmoored, adrift in uncharted waters. That night, unable to sleep, Emma found herself scrolling through old photos on her phone. Pictures of her and Michael in happier times, yes, but also photos from before they met. Images of a younger Emma with a wider smile, standing on mountain summits, dancing at music festivals, laughing with friends in foreign cities. When had she stopped doing those things? When had she packed away her adventurous spirit in favor of security and routine? On impulse, Emma opened her laptop and booked a flight to Italy, departing in 2 weeks. She had always wanted to see the Amalfi Coast, had even planned a trip years ago that was cancelled when a big project came up at work. She would go alone, with no itinerary, no schedule, just her and whatever experiences came her way. The thought was both terrifying and exhilarating. The next morning, Emma requested a month of unpaid leave. Her boss, though surprised, approved it. "You've earned this, Collins," he said. "Just promise me you'll come back. We need you here." Emma promised, though she wasn't entirely convinced she would return the same person. The moment Emma stepped off the plane in Naples, the Italian sun warming her skin and the scent of the Mediterranean in the air, she felt a flicker of something she hadn't experienced in years: possibility. For the first time in weeks, she didn't think about Michael or the empty apartment waiting for her back in Boston. Instead, she thought about the coastal towns she would explore, the foods she would taste, the people she might meet. Her first stop was Positano, a picturesque village clinging to the cliffs of the Amalfi Coast. Emma had booked a small room in a family-run bed and breakfast with a terrace overlooking the sea. The elderly owner, Sophia, welcomed her with a warmth that made Emma's eyes unexpectedly well up. "Ah, you are tired from your journey," Sophia said, misinterpreting Emma's emotion. "Come, rest, and later, you will feel the magic of Positano." Emma spent her days wandering the narrow streets of Positano, eating gelato on the beach, and watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. She took a cooking class and learned to make pasta from scratch. She hiked the path of the gods and felt her heart soar at the breathtaking views. She sat in cafes and wrote in a journal, not about Michael or her broken heart, but about the colors, sounds, and sensations of her new surroundings. A week into her stay, Emma met Marco, a local tour guide with a contagious laugh and a passion for history. He offered to show her hidden gems of the coast that most tourists never saw. Against her normally cautious instincts, Emma agreed. Marco took her to a secluded cove accessible only by boat, where they swam in crystal-clear waters. He brought her to a family vineyard tucked away in the hills, where they tasted wine and danced under the stars. He introduced her to his friends, who welcomed her into their circle without question or hesitation. "Why are you traveling alone?" Marco asked one evening as they shared a bottle of wine on the beach. Emma hesitated. She had avoided thinking about Michael, had pushed away the pain of their breakup, focusing instead on the joy of her current experiences. But something about the gentle lapping of waves against the shore, the distant music from a nearby restaurant, and the kind curiosity in Marco's eyes made her want to open up. "I was with someone for 5 years," she said, watching the moonlight shimmer on the water. "He left me because we'd lost our way. Or maybe because I had lost myself. I came here to find something. Maybe myself." Marco nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Sometimes we must lose ourselves to find ourselves," he said. "And sometimes, we must lose love to understand what love truly is." "Have you ever been in love?" Emma asked. Marco's smile turned wistful. "Once, many years ago. She was a visitor, like you. She stayed for a summer, and when she left, she took a piece of my heart with her." "Did you ask her to stay?" "No," Marco said, shaking his head. "Her life was elsewhere. My life is here. Love is not always about being together, sometimes, it's about knowing when to let go." His words hit Emma like a wave, washing over her with unexpected force. Had she truly loved Michael? Or had she merely loved the security he represented, the box he checked in her planned life? And had Michael truly loved her, or had he simply grown accustomed to their shared routine? As her time in Italy continued, Emma found herself thinking more deeply about love, what it meant, what it demanded, what it offered. She thought about the love she had witnessed in her life, her parents' enduring partnership, Zoe's passionate romances, the quiet devotion of Sophia for her late husband. In Ravello, a town perched high above the coast, Emma met an elderly couple celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. They were sitting at a cafe, holding hands across the table, looking at each other with such tenderness that Emma couldn't help but stare. "Excuse me," she said, approaching their table. I hope I'm not interrupting, but I couldn't help noticing your celebration. 50 years is remarkable. The woman, Eliana, smiled and invited Emma to join them. Over coffee, they shared their story, how they met during a storm when Eliana sought shelter in Giovanni's father's shop, how they eloped against their family's wishes, how they weathered hardships and celebrated joys over 5 decades together. What's your secret? Emma asked. How have you kept your love alive for so long? Giovanni and Eliana exchanged a look filled with shared memories and unspoken understanding. There is no secret, Giovanni said. Only choice. Every day, we choose each other, again and again. Even when it's hard? Emma asked, thinking of how easily she and Michael had given up. Especially when it's hard, Eliana said, squeezing her husband's hand. Love is not just a feeling, my dear. It's a decision, a commitment, a way of being. We have been angry with each other, disappointed in each other, even hurt by each other. But we never stopped choosing love. Emma carried their words with her as she continued her journey. In Amalfi, she wrote a long letter to Michael, not to send, but to express the feelings she had kept bottled inside. She wrote about her regrets, her gratitude, and ultimately, her understanding that their ending, though painful, was necessary. They had stopped choosing each other long before they stopped being together. In Capri, Emma spent a day alone on a small boat, floating in the blue grotto, surrounded by ethereal blue light. In that magical place, she whispered a goodbye to the Emma she had been, controlled, predictable, afraid to deviate from her carefully laid plans. She welcomed a new version of herself, one who could embrace uncertainty and find joy in the unexpected. By the time her month in Italy was drawing to a close, Emma felt transformed. Her heart, once shattered, had begun to piece itself back together, not into its original form but into something new, stronger at the broken places. She had made friends, collected memories, and discovered parts of herself that had been dormant for years. On her final night, Emma sat on the terrace of Sophia's bed and breakfast, watching the stars shimmer over the Mediterranean. Sophia joined her, bringing a glass of homemade limoncello. You look different from when you arrived, Sophia observed, settling into a chair beside Emma. Your eyes, they have light again. Emma smiled. I feel different. I came here lost, Sophia. Lost in what I thought love was, lost in who I thought I needed to be. But here, I found something unexpected. And what is that, cara mia? Myself, Emma said simply. And the knowledge that being lost isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes, it's the only way to find a new path. Sophia nodded, her aged face creased with a knowing smile. Life is not a straight road, Emma. It winds, it curves, it takes us to places we never planned to go. But if we keep our hearts open, even the detours can lead us to beautiful destinations. When Emma returned to Boston, her apartment felt different, smaller, perhaps, but also filled with new possibilities. She put away some of Michael's remaining belongings that she had avoided dealing with before her trip. She rearranged furniture, painted walls, made the space truly hers. At work, she approached projects with fresh creativity and perspective. Her boss noticed the change. Italy agreed with you, he commented. I haven't seen you this passionate about design in years. Emma reconnected with friends she had neglected during her relationship with Michael. She joined a hiking club, took weekend trips to explore nearby towns, and even signed up for a photography class she had always been interested in but had never found the time for. 6 months after her return, Emma received an unexpected email from Michael. He was back in Boston for a conference and wondered if she would be willing to meet for coffee. Emma's heart raced as she read his message. Her first instinct was to say no, to protect herself from reopening old wounds. But then she remembered Giovanni and Eliana's words about choosing love, even when it's hard. Meeting Michael didn't mean rekindling their relationship, but it could mean finding closure, offering forgiveness, choosing compassion over avoidance. They met at a small cafe near the public garden, neutral territory unlike their old favorite spots. Michael looked good, relaxed, tanned, his smile easier than she remembered. "You look amazing, Em," he said after they'd ordered. "There's something different about you." Emma smiled. "Everything's different. I'm different." Their conversation flowed more naturally than she had expected. Michael told her about his new life in Seattle, his challenging job, the friends he had made. Emma shared stories from Italy, her new projects at work, her rediscovered passion for photography. "I'm sorry for how things ended," Michael said after a lull in conversation. "I handled it poorly." "You deserved better." "We both did," Emma replied. "But I understand now what you meant about us becoming roommates. We stopped choosing each other, Michael. We took each other for granted. We got lost in routine and forgot to nurture what brought us together in the first place." Michael nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I've been seeing someone," he said carefully. "It's still new, but it's good. Different." Emma was surprised to feel no jealousy, only a genuine hope that Michael had found someone who made him happy. "I'm glad," she said, and meant it. "You deserve to be happy. So do you, Em. Are you? Happy, I mean?" Emma considered the question. "I'm finding my way there," she said honestly. "I'm learning that happiness isn't a destination but a journey. Some days are harder than others, but yes, I think I am happy." As they parted, Michael hugged her, a brief embrace that felt like the closing of a chapter. "Take care of yourself, Emma," he said. "You too, Michael." Walking home, Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her. The pain that had once threatened to drown her had receded, leaving behind wisdom and gratitude. She had been lost in love, lost in the idea of what love should be, lost in the comfort of predictability. But through that loss, she had found herself, her courage, her capacity to grow. That night, Emma sat on her balcony, watching the city lights twinkle against the darkening sky. She thought of Sophia's words about detours leading to beautiful destinations. Her detour had led her here, to this moment of quiet contentment, this understanding that love, whether romantic, platonic, or self-love, was not about possession or perfection but about growth, acceptance, and choice. Emma opened her journal and wrote, "To be lost in love is not always a tragedy. Sometimes, it's the beginning of finding your way home, not to another person, but to yourself." A year after her trip to Italy, Emma received a promotion that included the opportunity to work on an international project, designing a cultural center in Rome. She accepted without hesitation. Life had taught her that some chances were worth taking, some paths worth exploring, even without a map. On her first night back in Italy, Emma stood on a bridge over the Tiber River, watching the sunset cast golden light on ancient buildings. A message notification lit up her phone, Zoe, checking to see if she had arrived safely. Emma sent a quick reply, then put her phone away, choosing instead to be fully present in the moment. A light breeze carried the scent of jasmine and distant cooking. Emma closed her eyes, feeling a profound gratitude for the journey that had brought her here. She had once been lost in love, but in finding her way back to herself, she had discovered a greater truth, that love, in its purest form, didn't constrain but liberated. It didn't diminish but expanded. It wasn't about losing oneself but about finding the courage to be fully, authentically who you are. As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Emma made a silent promise to herself, to remain open to love in all its forms, to embrace the unknown with courage rather than fear, and to remember that even in the moments when she felt most lost, she was actually on her way to being found. For that was the greatest lesson she had learned: sometimes, you have to lose your way to discover where you truly belong. And sometimes, in the maze of love and loss, the most important discovery is not the path leading outward to another person, but the one leading inward, to your own heart. And in the end, isn't that what the journey of love is all about? Finding our way back to ourselves through the eyes of others, learning that the greatest love story is not the one we write with another person, but the one we craft with our own souls. It's a story without end, constantly evolving, perpetually surprising, eternally teaching us that to be lost in love might just be the surest way to be found. If this story touched your heart or resonated with your own journey, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind us all of the power of love, resilience, and self-discovery. Remember, wherever you are in your own story, whether feeling lost or found, you are not alone on this journey we call life.